San Diego Padres keep pushing in all of their chips. There is no stopping Madman AJ Prowler from going all in on this San Diego Padres ball club. A ball club that some fear they need a little bit of a retool. The Padres and their front office certainly have other plans, as the San Diego Padres went out and acquired second baseman Luis Arraez. And Luis Arraez is one of those hitters that is very old school. He is a dinosaur in today's game, considering the fact that he is an average hitter. He hits strictly for average. You know, his other numbers might not be as sexy, but his average is really high all the time. A two-time batting champion. All this guy does is put the ball in play and get hits. And that is a great player to have on your team. A guy that goes out there and just hits the ball. An all-around hitter. He'll hit it to the left side, up the middle, right side. Luis Arraez really is a great hitter. So for San Diego, a team that has a plethora of infielders per se, pretty much everybody on their ball club plays the infield. If there's outfielders, well, you could bet these Padre outfielders have played the infield or could play the infield, and Luis Arraez is another infielder. And so I think he's going to slot in at DH. Looking at the ball club, Cronenworth at first, Hogarth at second, Kim at short, and Machado at third opens up the DH spot. Nonetheless, the Padres are certainly adding an all-star level type hitter into their lineup. And for the Padres, this season, they're off to a rather mediocre start, if you want to put it that way. They're 17-18. Nobody expects anyone to challenge the Dodgers in the National League West. That is fine. We understand that. It's all about the wild card if you're the other teams in the NL West. The Dodgers are going to run away with the division. For the Padres, it is about making the wild card one of the final, I would say, 2 wildcard spots, because you know one of the Braves or the Phillies are going to be in that 4 spot. So there's 2 spots up for grabs, and clearly the Padres think they are good enough to compete for one of those wildcard spots. They're going to need to turn it around. They're going to have to get a couple of win streaks going throughout this season to really get into that playoff spot. There's a lot of mumbo jumbo right now in that National League wildcard spot. It's literally May 4th. I think they can, and I think they certainly can. You really never know with this Padres team as to whether or not they can be really good or really bad. It just kind of depends on what kind of night it is, and you can get the good Padres or the bad Padres. And so what is this Padres team? There is a lot of great pieces here. I've always believed in that. Of course, last year they completely flopped, but I've always believed in this Padres team to be a competitive team, at least on paper. Well, who do they trade away in the trade? A few prospects the Padres trade away. Nothing crazy. I don't think we're going to look back on this trade and say, oh my gosh, the Padres got fleeced like they did in the Juan Soto deal. They got absolutely fleeced in the Juan Soto deal. Looking back at it, it's going to age poorly. In this trade, I don't think it's going to really age all that poorly. I mean, Arraez is under control for a couple more years, and the Padres made out fine. As for the Marlins, taking a look at the Marlins here really quickly. They're 9-25, a Marlins ball club that's made the postseason twice in about 20 years. This Marlins team is going nowhere fast, and that's the thing that I say a lot, but they're going nowhere fast. I thought this team would build off of their playoff year. A playoff year that they had last year, and nope, that is not going to happen. They're fighting for last place with the Colorado Rockies in the National League. I look at the Marlins as a whole franchise, and just go look at their GM. That guy should be probably on Star Trek. He should not be running a Major League Baseball team. To be at a Star Trek convention. Joking aside, again, I would hate to be a Marlins fan. I'm sorry, Marlins fans, if any of you guys are still out there. I do apologize if you are still a Marlins fan at this point in 2024. A lot of chatter around the Padres has been about Fernando Tatis Jr. and the step back he's sort of taken this season. He's hitting about 250. Not the same guy that he was a few years ago offensively. Defensively, in the outfield, he is a platinum glove player. He has an incredible arm, and he catches pretty much everything out there. So we know Fernando in the outfield with a glove is going to be really good. At the plate, he's struggling. He chases a lot. That is a problem that Tatis does have. He does chase a lot. Obviously, I still believe in the guy that he's going to be a top 10 player in the game this year. It's May 4th. We're 35 games in. I wouldn't panic yet on the Padres or Tatis. He's in the middle of a long contract, and we never had a little segment about Tatis and whether or not that contract is tradable. would teams want to trade for Fernando Tatis Jr.? Well, if you add in a little bit of retention to that, yeah, teams are going to be signing up on the dot to trade for Fernando Tatis Jr. I believe he's a franchise-altering player. So if the Padres were serious about moving Fernando, I totally would be open to talks about that. If I were another team looking for an outfielder or whatever, Fernando Tatis Jr. Even with that contract that is signed till infinity, I would still be interested in trading for a player like Fernando Tatis Jr. If you're a Padres fan, I would not panic on Fernando. He's there for a long time, right? He's there for a long time. Yeah, he hit about 260 to 270 last year, which wasn't bad considering what he came back from. So I would not panic on Fernando. He's going to be there forever, a lifetime Padre. Just buckle up, take it all in, and Tatis will be fine. Just enjoy the show. And Dylan Cease has proved to be a pretty good trade for the Padres. While Joe Musgrove, big fan of Joe Musgrove, has struggled to begin out of the gates, but Dylan Cease is certainly picking up the workload for Joe Musgrove. Of course, Preller traded for Cease before the season got started. That has turned out to be a pretty good trade for the Padres. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section about the Padres and the Marlins. If you are a Marlins fan, hopping in here. Where do you see the Marlins direction going from here? I honestly don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. If you're a Marlins fan and for the Padres, it's all about just keeping the faith.